Glub glub.
Ba, 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 ba.
Okay, I'm recording.
Are you a scat man, Scott?
No, I'm Migo. You gotta see the video of Snoop Dogg sometime where he's talking about modern rappers these days.
Oh my god,
an
it's
impression of
it's
Migos.
the best. I've been recording our Nigo talk.
Are you?
By the way,
are you recording, Scott?
You know it. Wait, you thought I was gonna drop those sick bars without recording?
That'll be the intro.
Oh no.
this is already my favorite episode, guys. Thanks.
Yep. You're listening to Fancy Ramen, a podcast about video games. I'm Neil.
I'm Cookie.
And I'm Scott, and this is Cookie's favorite episode.
And it's entirely because Cookie started playing Danganronpa, right?
I did start playing that. I forgot that I started playing that, by the way.
You forgot 5 minutes ago when we were just talking about it, or?
No, I forgot until we started talking about it 5 minutes ago. Then I was like, oh shit, yeah, I was playing Danganronpa for a little while. I wish I could take that with me.
Well, you might
we'll
be
talk
able
about
to.
that
I'll
later.
I'll have to find it. What have you guys been up to before I start nerding out about that game?
I've really gotten into Magic recently. And
The
by
card
Magic,
game?
no. The Magicians.
Ah.
It's on Netflix. It's angsty and good and kind of depressing. One of the episodes was so depressing they had like the suicide prevention hotline ad right at the end there. They're just
Wow.
like, episode's over. By the way, if you ever feel suicidal, call this number, please.
It's almost as
Roll
disappointing
credits.
as finding out that you first were not interested in a super nerdy card game, and then again were not interested in card shuffling tricks, but instead a third thing that I had to conceptualize. What's that hotline's number? I might need it.
Well, we should ask our boy Logic.
Oh, that's right. Logic has what song does he have that at the end of?
The song is called 1-800-273-8255,
Okay.
which is also the suicide
number.
hotline. Yeah. I couldn't remember the number offhand, so I had to Google what the song was.
And that
Good
was a
song.
very roundabout way for me to get you to look it up as opposed to me having to do it. Everybody wins. Okay.
Yay! On to
What
happy thoughts.
What else have you been doing, Cookie?
Been working. I got a call from my old boss, and he was like, hey, before I go on vacation for Christmas, I just wanted to give you some good news. And I was like, what's that? He's like, you getting a raise, boy. And I was like, yeah.
Wait, your old boss?
Yeah. Because
It's his boss. His boss just happens to be like 60 something. So it's his old boss.
Wait, is that actually what you intended to say?
No. Basically, he's my old manager, and I was with him the majority of this quarter. So he was running my like bonuses and things like that. So he was the only one who knew. So I'm getting a raise in January.
Makes sense. That's
Congratulations.
Why, thank you.
You earned it.
I did. But besides that, just been working. As Neil so eloquently alluded, I've been playing a little bit of Danganronpa. I found out why you shouldn't store spray paint in freezing temperatures as well. Apparently, it's like super runny, so my hands are kind of purple. I decided I wanted to tag my wall when I got home tonight.
I was kind of hoping you were going to say that they had exploded or something under the in the extreme temperature, but it just leaks.
So when it comes out in like the aerosol spray form, like it's a lot more watery than aerosol due to the like weight of the liquid part. Basically, the spray part isn't strong enough. That's what I'm guessing, as it looks like my favorite purple is just like bleeding all over itself. But it's all good.
My thoughts would be that the mechanical action of freezing can separate out some of your paint from your other liquids that it's solubilized in. And so now if they've thawed a little bit, you're getting like water and some of the paint. But
Hey, I like the sciencey explanation for it better. I'm gonna go with that. That actually is probably correct.
if only we lived in a world in which that was a more common response. Like, hey, the science sounds cool. Let's believe that. Following these fundamental principles seems like actually a pretty great idea.
Oh, I guess I
But
don't really
alas.
consider myself American, so yeah, that's why I accept the science side.
Wait, what do you
were you just
consider yourself
saying some
then?
fake news? Is that what you were saying, Scott?
No, it's never fake news if I'm talking about it. Probably.
Cookie, if you don't
Gotta leave a
identify as
caveat.
American, then what do you identify as?
Mostly human.
Oh, damn, you got me there.
Yeah, that's a good camp to be in.
Shit.
Mostly human, you know.
We're all part of the human race. All right.
Maybe. I'm not
Race
sure.
is just a construct.
Scott could be an alien, and I don't mean a legal alien. I mean, I guess an extraterrestrial being is still an illegal alien. My apologies.
And this is why it's my favorite episode.
So what planet are you from, Scott?
I'm from ARURF.
Earth?
With the PH or the double F? Which one?
Wait, double ARURF? No, I'm trying to.
Earth with a PH or Earth with a double F?
He's trying to make a segue
How does,
into
like-
League of Legends.
No, it's how does Will Smith say it in Independence Day? I'm pretty sure I've even made the joke before on the podcast, but
You have, and I believe that one was with an F. Just
That's
the
with an
single
F.
F.
okay, yeah, that's where I'm from. I'm from whatever planet Will Smith is protecting
Ah,
with his
cigar.
with his most recent movie release on Netflix that tries to explain race through the use of magical creatures.
What?
I think they're aliens.
No, I'm pretty sure they're magical creatures.
What
they're
movie
like
is
goblins
this?
and fairies and stuff.
Oh, it's
not,
bright.
Yeah, it's not worth mentioning, I don't think. I watched the trailer for it and was like, hey, a nuanced take on race relations and policing with
Without
magical
actually
creatures. Yeah, without actually any like valuable
race.
content or commentary. Well, we have the goblins or ogres or whatever do the brute work because they're physically stronger.
As they should be.
Yeah, because they're a completely different species. Meanwhile, humans don't have necessarily that cut and dry of an excuse. I don't know. It's weird. I'm not particularly. I was caught off guard and surprised by this movie coming out on Netflix, and then watched the trailer and just like sighed to myself and thought, is Jaden Smith really going to be the most successful Smith in the next decade?
Will's allowed to have like one every 6 years, okay? One every 6 years.
When is Will going to pursue his son's ambition and voice a main character in an anime?
That's a great. What anime would you have Will Smith voice for? If you got to remake any anime and Will Smith is your lead dub,
Can I just put a thing out there that I'd like a Jackie Chan Adventures style anime, but
Oh,
instead it's
man.
Will Smith.
yeah, that would be
Okay,
great.
that'd be good.
I'm
Yeah.
down for that. I think we all agree that would be that would actually be the best possible use of Will Smith's time. Anyway,
Oh.
Neil, the other stuff I've been up to hasn't been particularly exciting either. I'm not getting a Christmas raise, boo-hoo. But
I'm sorry.
I have been working quite a bit. However, things will now slow down for the next couple weeks at my work, so I'm excited for that. I'm going to take a day off and go snowboarding.
Wait, are you still making cider?
You know it.
Is your cider any good?
Most of it is.
Perfect. Next time we see each other, you better have cider. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I'll hook you up, and I'll hook you up with the good stuff. But
It can be the bad stuff. As long as it's cider, I'm not going to...
as long as it's stuff.
Exactly. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so I don't know. I haven't been doing much else. I made a French onion soup tonight with my dad. That was pretty awesome. I'm going to try and recreate that.
So
again
did you guys
sometime
start
soon.
playing Final Fantasy XIV together?
No. Does Final Fantasy XIV have a French onion soup recipe in it?
No, but it's just that little story reminds me of like this weird Final Fantasy XIV ad called Dad of Light, and it depicts like a father and son and their wife and/or the sister of the family end up like going out for the weekend, so they apparently play Final Fantasy 14 and then cook breakfast together, and it's like supposed to be heartwarming, but I think it just kind of comes up
of
flat.
weird or sad.
I wouldn't put it past them to have a French onion soup in this game.
I wouldn't either. Final Fantasy is always keeping you on your toes.
Oh, wait, actually, let me correct myself. Apparently, it goes deeper than that. Final Fantasy XIV, Dad of Light. It's a television series. A father and son rekindle their bond through the online role-playing game Final Fantasy XIV, based on a true story.
I'd watch that anime.
Netflix original.
Fake news?
True news. In fact, based on a true story. And it's
Holy balls, you're right.
yeah. So I just got the commercial, I guess, and I assumed it was an advertisement for Final Fantasy XIV. I mean, it is, even if it's a TV show.
I got a bone to pick with Final Fantasy XIV. They won't let me play without paying for it, and I'm pissed. They're like, "Oh, you already had an account with us. You're good." I'm like, God damn it!
Oh God,
I just want to.
There are 5 episodes to this. It looks like. No, there are 8 episodes, and they're all 20 minutes long.
I feel as if this is going to be a let's watch for us.
I think I would be down for that.
Like, literally, the first thing I see on this is a Polygon ad that says Final Fantasy XIV Dad of Light is better than it has any right to be.
Well, because it's a human story. It's about it's about 2 family members that apparently become disconnected at some point in time, rekindling that bond through video games. It rings true for like all of our desires and passions. Not that I want to have a better relationship with my father or anything.
It's now added to my Netflix queue.
I don't really have much to share on my side either. I've just mostly been playing games.
Guys, why do we suck so much right now?
Because we play games and we do a video game podcast. I don't know. You're
But
the
we're
normie
not
that was talking
playing
about
games.
snowboarding and having a girlfriend. And wait, Cookie's married and I have a girl. All right, that's besides the point. Why don't you go talk about some latte art, Scott?
Oh, dude, did I ever tell you that I went to see a latte art showdown here in town when I first moved?
That sounds awesome. I want to go to this. This is why I want to be a barista in my future. I'm jealous, Scott, of your life. I'm just going to live vicariously through you and your cider and fancy lattes and your snowboarding.
I mean, I'm so glad that you cut me off short on that because I didn't want to tell you how disappointing the latte art showdown was.
Then I will cut that out as well. Not really.
No, yeah, you can keep it in. It was just really funny because my sister's very into coffee and she has a background doing barista work. And so I remember going to this with her and my girlfriend to see like what the talent was around the area. And she ended up like chickening out and not signing up for it because she was just getting started at latte art and she didn't feel like she was good enough.
And her
And
heart
then-
that kind of looked like an actual organ turned out to be the best. Or
Well,
whatever.
no, that's the thing. Is like I had seen her do it before, and then when we got like, it took us getting to the semifinals to see anyone who could make something better than the like rudimentary heart that she had done, and so it was very. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's kind of ironic that she was scared out by the competition when she could have smashed like half of them, but I guess it was an overall good experience.
And let's never talk of it again.
Yeah.
Well, so I really just want to hear your thoughts so far for Danganronpa. So obviously there may be spoilers, and this is probably safe considering it's like a 3 or 4 year old game. But
And I've only
what
done
are your
the first
impressions
trial.
so far?
So yeah, I guess we're getting into this. So I started playing Danganronpa, and the only reason Neil knew I did is because I've a weird message I sent out that said, "Why do all my waifus have to die? Damn you, Leon!" And this was before I knew the whole story of what actually happened in that trial. So my thoughts on Danganronpa are, holy balls, I didn't know it would make me think about things up until the very end. And I like and don't like the trial system.
Yeah.
There's too much.
There's a lot of bad mini games.
Is too much bad mini games. And I'm like, and then when it became the rhythm game, I failed it like 3 times because I wasn't sure what the fuck I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm hitting X to the fucking beat, guys. You're saying good, good, excellent, good, good. You failed. And now I'm dead.
It's almost like non-intuitive, but I hate to say that the rhythm games are bad throughout the series. So I just intentionally don't look or don't listen. I just look and use the visual cues to nail the X's on the supposed beats.
Yep, and then hit the triangle when you've got the thing. I just didn't know I had to hit the triangle.
Oh, I see.
But either way, yeah, like I'm hoping that the game sticks with just as many twists and turns. I don't know how much of it I'll play due to the fact that I can't take it with me, which is why I now believe that the Switch is the ultimate system, and I kind of wish I had a Vita again, because fuck me, man. I wish the Vita was stronger, I guess, though.
Have you gotten past the first case yet? I mean,
I finished the first case and then quickly forgot Danganronpa existed. It's fun, though.
You fell for that obvious waifu, and you had her stolen from you.
Exactly. Just like that one time I fell for that obvious waifu, and then I go home to find her hanging in her lifeless body. And then there was that other time I found that waifu, and then she became Stabby McStabberton on herself.
And that other time where you found that waifu, and now every time you open the game, she's there for you.
Yeah, what a tragic thing to have someone who loves you unconditionally, Cookie.
Yeah. Don't tell me you deleted her.
I did.
I will say that the twists get better and better, and not just through the course of the game. They get better through the course of each game. So, like, if that was a twist on the scale of 5, it raises, and so by the time you start playing the second game, you're no longer start at a 5. You start higher, and it just keeps escalating from there and there.
That actually like makes me super stoked, because I was like, man, like the way they thought this out, because it's like, yeah, like they were posing the question for me of like, okay, so Leon killed her as soon as you saw the numbers upside down. You're like, oh, that's obviously an N between those two ones, so just flip it upside down. It says Leon. So Leon killed her. And you're like, okay, I know Leon killed her. I can't just say Leon killed her, though. I got to collect all this fucking evidence. And then they're like, mm-hmm.
And it's not even just like you, the player, have to at some point find a disconnect between you and the main character, because you ultimately are smarter than the main character. So it's like you almost are guiding the protagonist to the conclusion.
Correct, because he's not focusing on anything. but then it's like, but then they pose the question of like, okay, so, but why? And you're like, well, obviously, so he can get out. But then he was after her, and then there was the thing with the door, and you're like, oh yeah, I guess that was kind of weird. Why were the doors switched? Was that the bear? Did the bear like switch the rooms when we like went to bed or something? And then you're like, oh fuck, no. Shit, she was trying to set me up. Oh, fuck. And then the character's like, she was trying to set you up. How does that make you feel? And like, no, she loves me. We never got to talk. That was a nice twist. And for that to be like only 2 hours into the game because I can't mash X fast enough.
Yeah, it takes some time. Like that game's definitely not something that you can just breeze through, because of like the dialogue is important enough to pay attention to it so you know what's going on, but at the same time it's also kind of fillerish at time. But
correct.
If you enjoyed that first case that much, then I have high hopes once you start playing the second game, because I think I'm speaking for John as well, who we'll be hearing from later this week, that like the second game is really where it starts to pick up a lot.
And that makes me super excited and wanting this on the Switch, because this is like the perfect game to pick up, play for like an hour when you're on your commute or you're like on a lunch break or something, and then put down.
Yep.
Because the case isn't hard enough that you can't just like see what's going on and be like, oh yeah, okay, this is what's happening. We got this.
And yet there's always that little hidden thing in each case that you can't always guess or figure out, without coming to some weird conclusion through all the evidence compiled together.
Correct. But I just really want to be able to play this at my leisure. But it's also too boring from like the moment to moment for me to like justify sitting down on my PlayStation 4.
And then just slamming through it for like 4 or 5 hours. Yeah. No, I feel
Because I'd much rather be like, oh, I'm sitting at the PlayStation 4. I might as well play some Call of Duty, shoot some noobs in the head. But then it's like, but I can also challenge myself with Danganronpa. But there's also VR in my house. Whereas with my Switch and like Legend of Zelda was like, oh, I literally have nothing else to touch right now. Might as well play Zelda. This thing just happens to be on the wrong system for me.
Oh,
but
either
way,
it just occurred to me, if I were to loan you Danganronpa, you'd have to replay through the first chapter.
Oh, that's fine. I can literally mash X through that.
Or use
Unless
the
you
skip
wanna-
button. Oh, actually, if I include the card, I think I can transfer the data over to a spare card, so you can just use chapter select.
Ooh, that'd be nice. Or you can just replay chapter 1 for me.
Maybe. Have you been playing anything else?
Yeah, there was a game that I played a little bit of. I don't have my PlayStation on me right now, but it was something, and it was kind of interesting.
And
But
it
it
left
wasn't
a
interesting
huge
enough.
impression upon you.
Oh, yeah, it was a Form 8 format. So it was one of the PlayStation Plus games. It's like Forma.8. It was the free PlayStation Plus game. I want to call it a Metroid style or a Castlevania style because like the way the map is set up. But you're this floating ball that gets little bombs and is just on this planet. I'm not sure what's going on yet, but we'll see.
Are you kind of like the morph ball from Metroid?
Basically, but you're
But you
flying.
float. Yeah.
Yeah, I decided to give it a quick try because
The art style looks pretty.
Do the bombs that you
It's-
drop, do they adhere to gravity?
they do not. They just float. And it took me a while because I found this like super easy kind of boss that didn't actually hurt me. That I was like, well, I can't do anything about this. I might as well go to a different part of the map. And then I explored the rest of the map and I'm like, okay, how the fuck am I supposed to get past this stupid boss? And then while I was running away from a thing, I ended up dropping a bomb and then pushing my pulse button. And I was like, oh my god, I can shoot bombs.
Oh, like you lay a bomb down, then you use the pulse to send the
To-
bomb forward?
Yeah, so it does a propulsion system kind of basically. But yeah, so I'm not very far. 6.7 or 8%. Because once you save, it actually tells you how far you're into the game.
So does the game also have some puzzle elements to it if there are bosses or enemies that don't necessarily damage you?
I would assume it seems only 6% in. Seems really simplistic though, from what I've played.
True.
But like, it makes me appreciate games like this that don't have any kind of tutorial or anything to like tell you what's going on in a game. It makes me appreciate it a little more. I think we were talking about this before.
Because it effectively won't let you pass until you figure it out. And I think that's like, obviously it's not a tutorial, but it's effectively doing the exact same thing that a tutorial would do.
I think those are normally more effective than a tutorial in the sense that you have to be able to demonstrate the capability of doing it without actually being, say, told to do it, and then it registering, and or the other option is the like passive tutorial where you can read the controls and then maybe never use them until halfway through the game and find out that you can't execute them correctly.
Basically, yeah. I like the way you put that. It's kind of like, it's the difference between playing Zelda and Super Mario Odyssey. Super Mario Odyssey is very upfront with everything you can do, but actually being able to execute what you can do in Super Mario Odyssey is super fucking difficult without practice. Whereas Zelda tells you butt shit about nothing, and we have flying cars.
Yeah, I guess I can kind of see that. I would posit that Super Mario Odyssey at least does have the same kind of checkpoint tutorial system in some ways where you can't access, I think, certain moons without performing more of the like simpler mechanical moves, and therefore in that sense it's an active tutorial, or it's an active like check of your skills as opposed to a tutorial, where I think the worst case scenario is when you're what's a good one? I'm trying to think of a game that has done a bad tutorial system where you just like stand there and are told what to do and then you do it, or you just absorb the information and you have to utilize it later. But I think I'm happy to say that I can't remember any games I've played recently that are bad enough to do that mechanically.
Nothing comes off the top of my head, but I'm less likely to remember a game that I had such a bad
Disliked.
experience with. Yeah.
The Witcher, I guess, is an example where it'll tell you how you can do some things, but it has labyrinthine menus, and so it's not easy to do certain functions. But at the same time, I think that game also has like combat sequences. Oh, you know what they do? They have combat sequences where it's like, now guard for 3 turns, now parry 3 times. Like, that's not that much fun either, but I guess you could consider it still within that checkpoint tutorial system.
That game should have just straight up said, "Hey, you're gonna need to read. You're gonna need to read a lot. It's gonna make your life a lot easier if you read. Just if you don't want to read, please don't play this."
Yeah.
What a great game in concept and depth, and yet it's one of the few that I think I would have actually asked to have more streamlined just for easier access. And it is already really streamlined from what I understand.
But that's about all I've been playing. How about you, Scott? You been playing anything in your busy schedule, hectic life?
I haven't played shit. All I've been doing video game related is watching some videos about Dark Souls lore and feeling sad because that's what happens when you find out Dark Souls lore. There's really no happy endings in that.
Speaking of Dark Souls lore, I really enjoyed those videos you guys mentioned about the Dark Souls and the art style of Cuphead, and Cuphead and the art style of Dark Souls are
very cool. Yeah, those are worth finding. Like if anybody hasn't seen them yet, there's a video out there of Dark Souls gameplay. Well, it's Dark Souls characters and images in a Cuphead graphical style and gameplay. That's really cool. Like I think I would play that game if they made a Cuphead spin-off of Dark Souls. Just because I'm so in love with those boss fights and character designs. But yeah, I'm glad you liked it.
Now you just want weird pinup versions of each boss.
Pinup executioner smile. Yeah, man. I don't have anything. I haven't done much. I played some it's not even all random URF right now, is it, Neil? It's only champions that have some sort of holiday themed skin in an URF right now on League of Legends.
Oh,
and it's a blast.
Is that the case? I didn't realize they had like limited it to just holiday skin champions.
That's right. Only holiday skinned champions. Actually, I mean, the champions that do have holiday skins are often more popular champions, so that's not a big deal. But it's been a lot of fun. It's essentially Summoner's Rift URF, and you can bring the snowball into it, and it works long range. So it makes for some incredibly fun, like, ganking and team mechanics.
That definitely explains why. Like, I've only seen the same 20 champions or however many.
Exactly. Yeah, it's only champions that have some sort of
holiday or winter
relevant
theme.
Yeah, or winter theme, I guess I should say. Like, if it's icy themed, I think it counts.
It's not like there's a Hanukkah Volibear. It's just a winter.
Wouldn't that be great? Yeah.
So,
Neil, go ahead.
I think the only thing I can really talk about would be to vaguely bring up Nier Automata or Automata, however you prefer to pronounce it.
Automatopoeia. It's Nier. Bam!
I'm going to say first and foremost that the term everyone's given this game based upon the original Nier, which is playthrough. I'm on playthrough C, but I think that term is also very misleading But
Does it suggest that you've beaten it?
yeah, it's like for every review or the couple reviews I saw that took a look at Nier and just play through A, I don't understand how they felt they got a full representation of that game through that single playthrough. And I like, again, trying to keep it vague so I don't have to put spoiler tags on it. The game mechanic that you get introduced to in Route B or the second playthrough makes the game or makes that playthrough extremely enjoyable and also far shorter because it's such an abusable, powerful skill. I don't know. It was also, it changed the game from being a pure action RPG into more of a hybrid game, I guess you could say. And
Hybrid's a great word for it. And to piggyback or dovetail off of the reviews of playing Nier to ending A, like if you only were to play Nier to that first ending, Nier's not that great of a game. Like it's not complete until you've gotten a majority of the endings.
I would almost even say that Nier through playthrough A or ending A is like a B or B minus.
I honestly thought of it as a prologue because there's so much story information and like exploration to do after ending A that I honestly felt like it was just a very long prologue before getting into like the guts of the story.
And hell, after ending B, when you start your third playthrough and something happens, well, I'm just gonna say it. You get another title block. At that title block, that's when like it hit me. I found myself asking, wait, did I just get done with the prologue? Is this like the real game?
Yeah, it is. It's very interesting when you find out after completing what you think is like a full storyline or the conclusion of a narrative that it's one side of a multifaceted story and you didn't even get, say, the full timeline of it.
The first major event in Route C is very emotional and like really well planned, I think. And if the game like continues up this I say emotional, but like what I mean is like it's a story that I'm connecting to on a personal level, not because I relate to it or anything. It's just that like I've grown to care about these characters and appreciate when they do things well or like when they achieve goals and so forth. Like I empathize with these characters a shit ton now, and if the game keeps up, I'm guessing I'm like maybe a third of the way through Route C. I would say if it keeps up this level of storytelling, this is my game of the year, and I'll hopefully be able to know for sure in the next day or so. But it's fantastic. Can't say enough things about it. Cookie, you got to play it once you have cleared off your backlog.
Dude, I'm never clearing this backlog. I still actually kind of want to beat that one Final Fantasy game that I never beat.
Wait, you mean 15? Or 14?
Yeah.
Because technically
15.
you still have all the single player campaign stuff in 14.
I do. Yeah, 15. And also, I don't know, man. This catalog is just, it's going to be backed up for a while.
Yeah, Nier does take a commitment of time.
And then Dragon Ball Z is coming out next month.
Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
That's right.
Yeah. But you've made me thoroughly excited for Nier Automata enough to steal a copy from somebody eventually at some point in my life, possibly. Maybe not. Probably not.
This is why I need to start buying games for PS4 again.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is one thing I can actually ask you about, Scott. Tiffany and I have both been playing it. She's been playing it on 1600 by 900 resolution, and I've been doing 1080p 60. Well, not 60. What am I saying? I'm sorry. I've been editing video. 1080p. The graphics on the highest settings. with I think some aliasing or maybe some shadows turned a little lower because the gameplay runs super smooth. There's no hitches except for like if I'm really just darting around the map and making really sharp turns. Occasionally I'll have a couple frame drops. Although I found a lot of that happens when I have some weird things going on with the full screen that is apparently a recurring problem with this game that people have already put patches up to fix. But regardless, nothing major in terms of frame drops. But when I get into cutscenes, occasionally it starts to stutter down to like 15 frames a second. Like, it's not enough to really hurt my enjoyment because like frame rate doesn't really matter to me that much in cutscenes compared to like the gameplay. But did you experience anything like that when you were playing, Scott?
Not really. I don't think I ever had any issues graphically with Nier. I definitely don't have any memory of issues with cutscenes. The only thing I can think of is sometimes when the screen would just be absolutely saturated with projectiles from enemies. And I should probably also say that I was playing on whatever the maximum graphical settings were that my computer could handle, which should be close to the maximum of what the game allows. I would get some hiccups every once in a while, but they were like very slight. And let's see, I'm trying to think if most of them weren't already during like portions of the game when I was using overclocking, which would like slow everything down. And I don't know why, but I seem to get hiccups with my frame rate primarily during those moments, but it was still very rare. Like an uncommon enough occurrence that if I were to play the game for an hour, each time I played it, like I couldn't guarantee that it would happen every time I played the game.
I get you.
Yeah. Really no issues. And I haven't read much about it, but I've seen headlines to gaming articles that Nier for the PC needed a patch or a fix, and I was puzzled by that when I saw it because I didn't remember having any issues that would have indicated that it absolutely needed a patch.
I may just have to add that patch and see what it does because it apparently improves frame rate issues as well, but we'll see.
I wonder how sensitive I am to that anyway. Like, I've played through Dark Souls PC port I don't know how many times, and if I can get through the frame rate issues in Blighttown, like I think I can play just about any game at any speed.
Well, so are you guys ready to talk about some noteworthy news topics from this week in gaming? First and foremost, PlayStation 3 puzzle and narrative game Catherine is being remastered for PS4 and Vita, which is good news in and of itself. It's also the first official title from Studio Zero, the new team led by Katsura Hashino under Atlas. However, the most recent trailer for Catherine, Full Body, has heads turning from the introduction of a new romantic interest for the main character named Rin, who is potentially a trans woman. The protagonist, Vincent, in the trailer seems to be extremely surprised or distraught after possibly sleeping with Rin, but seeing what may or may not be Rin's private parts. I say that because like the way trailers are often cut are done so in a way to cause as much mystique and surprise as possible. So we technically don't know if that's the exact sequence of the shots. And we also don't know what he's shocked at seeing, as you guys may have seen when you watched it. The general response has been pretty negative stateside, with hesitation that the game will portray a trans person in a negative light. And they have some history with this too, because there's another character in the game called Erica. Assume that she's a trans woman because she identifies herself as a woman, but is or was apparently is biologically a man. And they also dead name Erica in the credits by calling her birth name, which is Eric. I'm trying to be I'm trying to be like a little reluctant about saying exactly what Erica is, though, because the potential that Erica is just cross-dressing as well, but that doesn't necessarily seem to be implied, though we have no actual confirmation for that. But did you guys have any thoughts about this?
The logo makes me confused
The logo,
because I really like it.
the logo for
The full-bodied logo where they had like the panty shot, but it's also of Eric in panties.
Erica in panties.
Yeah, because is he a boy? Is he a girl?
Wait. Are we? Rin is the pink-haired one, and Erica is the red-headed one.
Sorry, yes, Ren. Because you've seen the logo for full bodied, right?
When you say logo, I thought you mean just like the Catherine full body that has.
Yeah,
That is a set of panties. Correct. No, it looks good, right?
and it's just obscure enough that you might not know it's panties unless you see it, unless you see the letters fade in.
Unless you watch the trailer where they quite literally show a butt and then do the
panties.
Catherine full bodied.
Yeah,
Okay,
turn
yes,
into words.
yeah. At first, I thought you were talking about the Catherine full body logo that has like the FB stamp on it.
Oh, I didn't even notice that one. No, that one's pretty just generic Catherine-y. I like the cleaner look.
Right.
I kind of want to put it on a skateboard now. But no, I'm actually kind of interested. I did enjoy what little bits of Catherine I played, story-wise, besides the terrible jumping puzzle thing.
What the
that was
puzzles
going
were
on.
great.
Yeah, great. Mm-hmm.
One man's puzzle is another man's punishment.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Catherine.
It's a solid game.
It makes me feel bummed though that this is causing distress for people. Let me word it this way. I feel bummed that they can't depict or seemingly seem to support transgender identity in 2017, but like I guess I'm also not surprised because it's Japan.
Also,
Yeah.
welcome to Earth with a TH.
Yeah, it's I think it's something that's been popping up more and more frequently in the gaming community, is that there's still a lot of ground to cover to be inclusive and, considerate and thoughtful about bringing more diverse characters in, but also when we bring diverse characters into games, having them treated, I guess, respectfully and normally. Like if a trans person were working on the development of this game, they would have known about, pretty touchy subjects like using a dead name or, depicting a trans woman as like as a shock or a gag or a joke, Atlas doesn't have the best background in being an ally. There were jokes in Persona, for instance, that were, I don't know, like they just play off of the like, well, two dudes can't like each other. That would be gay. And so it's just
that made me laugh.
well, I told it as a joke. It is supposed to be funny.
God, you had the perfect
Like,
delivery
the
for that. Thank you.
Yeah, the observation of it. But it's one of those things. Like being someone who has like close friendships with several people who aren't cis white scum like me. It's, I think, important to consider how sometimes our media others people and makes them feel like less than or I don't know, not respected in the same way that a standard or normal character would be. And so it just makes me sad. Like I get how you're saying bummer, Neil, and I feel the same way. Like bummer. If Catherine's a good game, I wouldn't know because I haven't played it. But this type of coverage doesn't make me interested in picking it up or getting involved either.
I guess part of me too, like I feel like I'm going to be an apologist, not specifically for Catherine, but like for Atlas, because
For Japan, because they are. Go ahead.
Well,
Sorry.
right. I mean, it's like the same thing, just in terms of more extreme conditions. Like we can obviously say that the way women are treated in certain Middle Eastern countries is terrible, but we're also not doing anything drastic to stop that from happening. Like we're at some point, we kind of feel like we're on the Enterprise and we cannot deal with other worlds and their cultures because that would there's obviously something inherently wrong with that, despite it being to improve the human condition, right?
Right.
But specifically for like Persona 4, which is I'm assuming what you're referencing, I think a lot of the writing in that is just coming from the realistic standpoint of how young men in Japan view homosexuality in whole. But at the same time, like Kanji's entire storyline in that game, while he still like embraces like the dude, I'm not gay thing, his storyline is about him understanding and embracing his feminine side and being okay, like being attracted to this, what he thought male character.
Yeah, and I think also there's evidence of that same type of joking between bonding with the player character in Persona 5 and Yusuke. What's very funny is that I think I personally didn't find those to be anything too out of the ordinary, because some of those like jokes and events ran parallel with experience I had had with a friend who was very similar to Yusuke. So it's like one of those things that I had some comfort laughing at, but I could also see how people could find those maybe a little disheartening as well if they're, I guess, not giving Atlas the benefit of the doubt on their like writing and character usage.
And you also have to ask yourself too, like, at what point does something get filtered? Because Yosuke in Persona 4 was originally going to be a potential romance option for the main character, but it ultimately got scrapped. Why it got scrapped, don't know.
Too progressive.
But the fact that, yeah, probably. But I mean, the fact that some writer had originally started that too, I think is commendable, especially
and worth
from
noting.
Yeah. Another part of me too is just curious behind the advertising, because usually just like in any industry, the people in charge of cutting your trailers are different from the developers and writers. Or when I say developers, I mean like your coders, your writers, and so forth. So we technically don't even know if Rin truly will be trans, and if she will be trans, if like the trailer is cut in a way to just create more shock value.
I think she will be trans, just mainly because of the way the trailer was cut and how they turned the female sign into a male sign. You know, the circle with the plus and the circle with the arrow pointing off to the top.
Right. And the language certainly seems to indicate it too from the translations I've read of the trailer. I don't know. I hope that they take heed. Granted, I'm sure it's far enough in development at this point that nothing's going to change drastically, but I hope they take heed at the response to this and do their best to like create a respectable image for every character in this game. But I also don't think they have to make it Dream Daddy at the same time. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that game.
No, I have no idea what that is.
It's a game about dating dads. And so the concept is that the protagonist...
That's not nearly as cool as Birds.
the protagonist, his wife or husband, like these are things you can specify when you're creating your character, has passed away, and you're at some point, and your daughter basically is pushing you to go and meet new people in this new neighborhood you've moved to. And that is primarily or entirely involves going out and hanging out with other single dads in this cul-de-sac from different types of backgrounds, different types of demographics. Some are new dads, some are, have older children like yours, et cetera, et cetera. It's just that through the course of this game, it's extremely idealized, where it's like you hardly talk about work. You never talk about what perception society views upon these types of relationships. And I when I say these types of relationships, I mean specifically post divorce or widower or same-sex marriages, right? Or relationships, I should say, first and foremost. Like, it's just, that is not a factor at all. In Dream Daddy, like, I think that is commendable and perfect, because I don't think there is a game like that out there that just puts you in a situation where that's just not a thing, right? But I also don't think every game that has touchy subjects like that, or not touchy subjects, but has like progressive subjects like that, has to be in idealized worlds, because I don't think that necessarily is provocative of improving regular society either.
I'm nodding in agreement. I don't have anything to add. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, no, I agree as well.
I mean, like at some point, in order to get certain topics like transgender identities into like mainstream games, I think you have to have stories that will ruffle feathers, and not just for like the people in our world witnessing these games, but also like the characters within the games, because like at some point in time there has to be stories about people coming to terms with LGBT and transgender and other things that these characters are not necessarily comfortable with. But I think it's how you depict that character's, like every character's growth in that situation, which determines whether or not you've done so respectfully. Dream Daddy's a good game. I want to say that because I don't want to take anything away from that. It's just like, it's an uplifting game, which Catherine, on the other hand, isn't so much. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know how it ends, but it seems the game's predicated on like your character Vincent struggling to decide whether he wants to stay with Catherine or be with Catherine, right?
yeah. Although, like technically speaking, you can be extremely one-sided in the course of the game, and I'm not going to spoil much, but it's
Okay.
there is something extra or something very supernatural happening in this game that kind of justifies
The conflict.
yeah, exactly. And
Okay.
I've actually never beaten the game going with the C Catherine, where like K Catherine is more or less like your, I don't know if you're engaged.
Either way, you're cheating on her.
But yeah,
K Catherine's your girlfriend?
Yep.
Okay.
At least she's trying to be, and you're just doing everything in your power to cheat on her.
Man.
You got to play the game, Scott.
I
I'll
actually
have to
think
try it out.
it's probably like okay, let me put it this way. I think the puzzle element to this game is fantastic. And if anything else, you could just skip the story entirely and play for the puzzle.
Does it matter what puzzles I encounter depending on who I follow?
I don't think they change. I'm not sure.
Good to know.
But the whole concept basically is that you have to get to the top of this mountain of boxes before you fall to your death, more or less. As simple as it sounds, but you can only move up one box height at a time, so you need to pull out boxes and push boxes in ways to create a staircase for yourself, to put it in simple terms.
Cool.
So,
Okay. My favorite Japanese game show is Wall of Boxes, so that's great.
that deserves a Googling right now.
Absolutely.
That's pretty much.
If you can find a video of Wall of Boxes, you should watch it.
Oh, dude, this reminds me like the ilk of 24-hour tag.
What the
And-
hell is this? See, we get gacked and whatever that Crag game was on Nickelodeon, and Japan gets Wall of Boxes.
Oh my god, this is amazing.
I said it was my favorite show.
This is a team playing soccer and a goalie trying to stop people from kicking the boxes.
My favorite is the sumo wrestler just going straight through the wall of boxes.
Volleyball?
Oh, they're doing the drums.
So Wall of Boxes is a game where you pick out some number, and then the number reveals some sort of gimmick, like a volleyball
that's going
team.
that's going to hit the wall of boxes, and it may or may not topple it.
And you're on top of this wall of boxes, so you obviously want something minor.
Exactly. You want to get the robot that has like a whip tied to it that only breaks like one box, and not the football team that dives through the wall of boxes.
Definitely just got the football team.
I just got the tank.
The guy just, I give up. I give up.
This guy keeps complaining. He's like, a tank? Come on. What? It's going to be big. What the hell? Oh, and then it turns out to be this weird, small, little motorized thing with a black guy on it. That's kind of distasteful.
It's Japan. It's all tasteful.
He's wearing like American fatigues, and he just shot something at the wall and blew one box. Oh, that's not so bad.
Oh, this is adorable. I love Japanese game shows. What are we supposed to talk about? What are we talking about now?
All right,
Video games.
So following the topic of the state of single player, Eidos Montreal recently posted a new mission statement on their website, and I quote, "At Eidos Montreal, we're constantly working towards creating innovative and exciting experiences for gamers everywhere. In turn, we're placing an added emphasis on online experiences in our games and striving to continually provide players with content that is memorable and impactful. Though the inherent interactivity of online play, our universes will have the chance to thrive both now and into the future. To achieve this, we are building the teams and tools capable of supporting our ambitions. We hope you will join us on this journey." This is obviously to like possible applicants. Certain journalism outlets have been quick to address this as a possible sign of the studio moving away from single-player games to more online-focused content, or even the service-based platform that other studios have embraced. But are we being a little too quick to jump the gun? Hearing that statement now, do you think they are trying to move away from single-player games?
Yes.
Yes. It's kind of open and shut, Neil.
Wow.
What
That-
is unanimous agreement for 300, Alex? I think it's one thing to note that other developers in the industry are going this way. So that's one thing that informs my decision. And the second is their statement that is suggesting that they're going to be actively looking. It's them saying we're probably going to be a little more online and multiplayer conscious as we move forward as game developers. I say putting those two things together, and the fact that Eidos, well, I don't know. I haven't played the most recent Tomb Raider games, and I hear they're very good. But
Oh, they're very good.
my experience playing Deus Ex, and from what
Not
I've heard
Thief.
about people's feelings on the last Thief to come out, maybe it wouldn't hurt for them to try a new approach. Like if the Tomb Raider games are good, that's awesome. I actually would play them if I find them. If I find them cheap on Steam, I'll probably buy them and play them. But I'm done with Deus Ex, and if I want to play Thief, I just play Dishonored. So
That's a good idea on the Dishonored part.
yeah, it's okay for them to move into new territory.
Don't you think there's a possibility that they might be doing something similar to what BioWare did initially before they went before? Well, okay. So let's all agree. Like we talked about Mass Effect 3 being a good game despite having a bad 5 minutes at the end.
Did we? Okay.
Yeah, it's been brought up
Very
more than
briefly.
once as far as I can remember.
So
I guess yeah. No. never
Mass
mind.
Effect 3 and I think it was Dragon Age Inquisition both had pretty interesting, and in Mass Effect's case, actually cool online co-op modes.
Mass Effect 3's co-op, or I guess just online play in general, is underappreciated in my opinion. I thought it was really good.
So imagine something like that being available for the Avengers game that they're working on,
Or a Tomb Raider game.
or a Deus Ex game. Well, so we technically know Deus Ex is on hiatus at this point, but I think Square Enix actually said that Deus Ex has not been dumpstered quite yet. That they're in early stages.
It's sitting next to the dumpster, and we haven't lifted the lid to throw it in yet.
we haven't decided to recycle or just throw it out yet. I
Adam Jensen,
think
how
it
will
might
you
be a
ever
little too
escape?
quick to say that we're rest in peace Tomb Raider, rest in peace.
We're
Oh,
not saying
we're
rest in peace,
definitely
Tomb
not
Raider.
saying
but specifically
Rip
for
Tomb
Raider.
Eidos
We're saying-
Montreal.
We're saying rest in peace, solo Laura Croft. Now she's got a full team.
Yeah. And you can't tell me that there's not going to be more Tomb Raider games coming out when a new Tomb Raider movie will be coming out.
Based on the games.
I mean, isn't everything based on the games? Are the games based on something else?
Based on Angelina Jolie.
Is there a Tomb Raider book that I've never read that's a Shakespearean classic?
There's actually a light novel for it.
Of course. But yeah, we can expect to see that Eidos is obviously still going to be publishing games, and they may be mixing things up a little bit, but I would be receptive to the idea that they may be making single-player games with a multiplayer component or element to it. I mean, some games do a really good job with pairing those things together. I've found that Metal Gear Solid 5, that whole like FOB missions, although I don't do them, is not bad. And Metal Gear Online is not bad either. And if I don't want to engage with that type of gameplay, I don't have to. And so if they pursue that direction, I say more power to them.
And honestly, I'm just trying to be the contrarian here. What I really wanted to say, though, is how badass would an online co-op Avengers game be? I don't mean like massive. I don't mean team versus team PvP, but rather. Oh, okay. I got a good way to compare it. You remember the Avengers arcade cabinet?
Sure.
Imagine
Why not?
that.
We'll pretend as though I do.
Oh, really? Did you never go to a Pizza Hut in the 90s?
Actually, I don't think I did. My family and I are
Damn.
really all about quality food. It's good or bust.
Okay, did you ever play the Simpsons arcade cabinet?
Oh, hell yeah.
All right, so imagine that, except it's Avengers characters. That's the Avengers
No,
cabinet.
I still want to think it's The Simpsons because let's be honest.
The Simpsons cabinet was not very good. I'm just going to say
Oh my god, that game is so effing hard. Me and Lizzie beat it.
Really freaking hard.
Yeah, it was
the
basically
story
just
makes
a
no
coin.
sense.
It was a coin dump.
Pretty much. The only reason me and Lizzie beat it was because it was on Xbox Live Arcade. And do you know how much money we put into it? Like, with continues?
How much?
I don't remember anymore, but it was over like $60.
Well, if
Wait.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World was an actual stand-up arcade game,
Also,
I would have probably
yeah.
put hundreds of dollars into that. And you know what? Worth it. I loved that game.
Oh, that game was great.
Yeah.
Didn't you just buy the game outright?
You did.
No, we did,
I'm
but
saying
you still
if
had
it
to,
were
like-
a cabinet, I would have spent so many coins.
Oh,
on
no,
continues.
right. I meant for the Xbox version of
No, yeah, you
Simpsons.
buy it outright, but you still have to, like, whenever you die, you've got to, like, push start to enter a
Oh,
coin.
so you're saying the theoretical coins you had to put in. I
Exactly.
Correct.
get you.
Oh, but I was going to make a snarky comment about how they said emphasis on the online experience in our games. That's just code for we're putting in loot boxes, guys.
Oh no.
Because the only way to get those loot boxes is to pay money online.
Well, but really, like an online cooperative Avengers game would be pretty cool. I'm not talking obviously huge amounts of players, but like 4 or 5 players to play like the main characters. That would be fun.
I see the Avengers movies and I'm just like, how do they get anything done? There's supposed to be like 50 of them. They're kind of like the Justice League of America.
That's why
There's
you
a
only
lot of
pick out
Avengers.
some cool ones and let the rest go hang out. Like the arcade cabinet picked out or had Iron Man, Captain America, Hawkeye, and then I'm blanking on the fourth one.
Wait,
Some silver surfer dude looking
I'm
guy with the cape.
confused. I thought the Avengers were like Samuel L.
Batman.
Jackson with an eye patch, a pepper pot, a spider, and what else? Who are the Avengers?
You're talking about the.
I can't tell if he's being
Yes.
serious or not.
Yes.
You never know with me, honestly. I don't know. I guess that could be fun.
But yes, those are the Avengers.
In other news, Apple is requiring games with loot boxes to disclose odds.
So they're pulling to China, guys. Because in China, you have to disclose the odds of loot boxes. Now, Apple's changed it up.
what's great about this is disclosing the odds are shit doesn't change the odds from being shit, which is what I really like about it. Like, well, now we have to be a little more transparent about how unfair it is. Not that we have to change how unfair it is. Granted, I should also note, fairness in a game that's trying to replicate that same kind of chemical experience as gambling is probably not something that any party is really thinking about. Or
Scott,
should
we're not
think
allowed to
about.
say the G word. It's
Wait,
not gambling.
Oh, gambling. Yeah, sorry, it's not gambling. It's
It's calculated risk taking.
yeah, I was like, it's high risk engagement. Yeah, fairness isn't something that's ever going to be included into these business models, but at least transparency's nice to maybe dissuade some people from getting engaged.
Yeah, good on Apple for doing that. Not so good on them slowing down your phones.
Yeah, not necessarily video game relevant news, but I think it is worth mentioning that Apple is currently in suit for that, for
Yep.
admitting to slowing down people's phones, and they have reasons why, and you can look that up.
It's going to help your battery life for the older models.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because replacing a battery is cost prohibitive with an iPhone.
Save battery life.
Is that
Yep.
really the case with Apple iPhones? You can't just take the battery out like an Android?
Well, you
well,
can
you
just
can,
take the
but-
battery out, but you're not going to.
Yeah, and those geniuses sure won't either.
Nope, they'll just give you a new phone.
So-
They'll be like, well,
It-
we'll just give you a new phone.
Is it soldered in?
I can't answer that.
No.
I don't know.
Because like I drop my phone the wrong way and the battery just flips out, and then I put it back in and it's fine.
It's not soldered in. Your phone is just not supposed to open like that anymore.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, I
Your
see.
phone doesn't have.
Your phone is now out of warranty.
Yeah,
I
as
don't have
soon
an
as you've
iPhone for the
opened it
record,
up.
but
Right, and
Oh.
Samsung's that way with some of their phones now too, where it's all pretty much fused together. Like to access your battery, you have to break open the case of like the body of your phone.
I think iFixit sells a thing to let you help you take apart your phones.
here's the
Yeah.
hatchet. And you can also buy a new screen afterwards. That'll be necessary. In other news, PUBG is now officially out on the PC.
They went 1.0, baby.
Yeah,
And on a related note, Polygon gave PUBG a perfect score.
what?
I don't agree with this.
It's
But
also,
yeah, they gave it a 10.
let's also point out that Polygon, I believe it was Polygon, posted up the 500 best games ever. And even though they did claim that it was done with like some sort of metric or algorithm, that list is like a pile of shit.
What's their number one?
Oh man, I'm just wondering if Polygon didn't have UN Squadron somewhere in its top 500 games, then that list can't be trusted.
Their number one is Tetris.
Yeah, that I don't know what to say about that.
Their
I can
number two
understand
is
the
Super
logic.
Mario Bros. 3. 3
Where's
is
Sup-
The Legend of Zelda, Doom, Pokemon Red and Blue.
Okay, they're just
Ms.
they're
Pac-Man.
going for the whole like this changed gaming forever.
I think it went off
Kind
of
of
some sort
approach.
of weird instance of like mentions, or let me see.
Like
Dwarf Fortress,
people
number
who have played it.
24.
Dwarf Fortress. That's a game I'll never play, but will always be fascinated by.
What this list feels like to me is that they picked up 5 influential. I mean, this is obviously not what it was, but they picked up like 25 gaming journalists of varying ages and
Skill.
like of mindsets, and then each one took a turn picking, like drafting their favorite games in that order, and then the
and you're
order,
telling me some guy's favorite game was Tetris, and everybody's like, yeah, that's about right.
yeah, and basically like we're looking at the draft board. It's kind of what it looks like, because the list doesn't make sense from like a comprehensive standpoint.
I'm just going to say EVE Online should not be number 90. That's a bit far down for EVE Online if you're going for impact.
Right. Final Fantasy VI is number 11.
Why 6?
Because
Or 3.
it's potentially the best Final Fantasy. It's
Either way, they gave it a. You can't give a perfect score to a game that you call a hot mess.
right. So I'm assuming they're referring to the PC version, but the PC version still has problems too.
No, they quite literally referred to in their review. It says it's a mess, but a perfect mess.
Okay, I get what they mean by that to some extent. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I would not call that a perfect game, but much like how what is a good game that we've played that is just not a good game? What's a really enjoyable game?
PlayerUnknown's Battleground is imperfectly perfect.
It's like saying The Room is the perfectly horrible movie it is, giving it 10 out of 10. Like, you can't give The Room 10 out of 10, no matter how much enjoyment you get out of The Room. ARMS version 5 is out, or is ARMS version 5.0 out now?
I don't know if it's out. I kind of just saw it and they were like, hey, this is going to be the last major update for ARMS.
But that's not to say they're not going to continue supporting it. I'm assuming they'll still do minor updates, bug fixes, and so forth.
Correct. Just no more balances.
Seems like that game didn't take off as well as they wanted it to.
Yeah. Heroes of the Storm got an update that I heard about that kind of fundamentally changes the game. So, like, before, whenever you'd play the laning phase from Heroes of the Storm, that would just be completely skipped. Now, with the new update, I don't know how, but there's more emphasis on it.
More emphasis on the laning phase?
Yeah. So before they would do, one person would actually like be in lane because of like turrets, and Heroes of the Storm would have a limited amount of ammo. Now they have unlimited ammo. So instead of like, what is it, like 5v5 in that game? So instead of 4 people ganging up and just killing all the other heroes in the other team and one person actually leveling, now they've actually got to focus on that early game. This is all hearsay from what I've heard. Not going to play it. Not going to confirm.
Did you play it before?
I played a game of it and was like, okay, I think I'd just rather play League.
Yeah, it felt like an easier version of League for me with friendlier players, and I just didn't know how to handle it. So I went back to my toxic cesspool.
Why aren't people
It's like,
yelling
why
at
aren't
me?
people better than me? And also, why don't they have way shittier attitudes? And so I went back to League. And I was like,
Exactly.
oh, yeah, okay, everybody's better than me again. And they're all assholes. I'm home.
This is pretty much. And Splatoon 2, which me and Lizzie have just recently started picking back up just little by little, got a new weapon announced, I believe it was today or yesterday, just in time for New Year's. It's called the Squeezer. It quite literally is a champagne bottle with like a little... It looks like a champagne bottle inside of a caulk gun, basically.
That's awesome.
But it shoots paint.
So you still shoot from it. It's not like you're squeezing the bottle.
Correct. And that gun is called the Squeezer.
And it sounds like that concludes this edition of the Hot Pot.
Because we totally announced that it was the Hot Pot.
Oh.
What is this, Seinfeld?
Bow, bow. Bow, bow. Oh, yeah. Bow,
What
bow.
is this,
Oh.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Yeah, I just realized I did the wrong one. If you have comments, questions, or corrections, you can write into podcast@fancyramen.com.
And if you've been enjoying the show, leave a review on Apple Podcasts.
But most importantly, as a Christmas gift to both Neil, Cookie, and myself, tell a friend and help us grow our audience.
So I've got 2 comments before we sign off. You
Okay.
definitely said, but most importantly, as a Christmas gift to us both, then name 3 people.
Who are you,
Wait.
Charles Barkley? Wait,
Cookie and Neil's not your full name, Cookie?
Touche. Touche. And my second comment was going to be on, we definitely started this off with, this is going to be a shorter episode.
and it's an hour long.
It's
At 1
yeah,
hour
we're
and
over an
almost 30 minutes.
Well, that's
I think-
okay. If Neil does the editing right, he cuts out all of our lame, like, catching up with Neil, Scott, and Cookie. No, we keep that. We definitely keep the Migo bars.
Okay, perfect.
The Amigo bars? The wait, what bars?
No,
Migos.
Migos is a rapper.
Oh,
I thought they
that.
were a group.
I kind of tuned out at that point.
Wait, oh my God, am I?
Yeah,
See-
Migos is all 3.
I didn't know. Well, shows how much Migos I listen to. Oh yeah, it is. It's a hip hop trio.
A hip hop, a hippity hop hop.
Oh man, I thought I was gonna get really excited because we were gonna bang bang boogie to up jumps the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat, but then you totally fucked that up, Neil.
Stop. Yeah.
Before the end of the year, we'll have our Game of the Year podcasts up, and with video too? Question mark. I don't know if we'll be streaming it though. I don't know how we'll stream it with video.
Well, we won't stream the video. At
but yeah.
least in the short amount of time.
Look forward to it. We'll talk about a few games that each of us particularly cared for. All right, that does it for this episode of the Fancy Ramen Podcast. I'm Neil.
Oh, I'm Cookie.
Oh wait, I'm Scott.
And Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Happy
I
Hanukkah.
prefer to wish happy holidays to you all.
Well, F you. I'm all about that Christmas. But, I got some Jewish friends, so happy Hanukkah. Merry Kwanzaa. What's the word that included them all?
Kwanzaa doesn't get merry. And
Chris
they can't
Mahana
have happy
Kwanzaa.
either.
It's Chris Mahana Kwanzaa, everybody. Let's celebrate.
And
Right.
a Festivus for the rest of us.